Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is my first live video that I've ever done here on YouTube, but I thought this was an issue that was probably important enough for me to actually do a video on. And what I wanted to specifically address was some comments that were made by House District 121 candidate Steve Allison, because they're not just normal political accusations or statements. These are slanderous statements, and so I think it's very important that I address these because they really go to the fight and the struggle that I and many people in open carry Texas have been engaged in for a very long time. And so the first and foremost, Steve Allison, who is a Republican candidate, at least he says he's a Republican candidate, at a debate last night in San Antonio, said that I was, quote, a convicted felon. And because I'm a convicted felon, in his mind, apparently it's okay to tase people for not breaking any laws. First and foremost, not only have I never been convicted of a felony, I have never been charged with a felony. Now, I've been arrested, and there's been a report written suggesting that I get charged with a felony, and that was recently by Olmos Park because they had to, of course, cover up for their felonious act of assaulting with a deadly weapon law-abiding citizens and then threatening to assault others. So I have never been convicted of a felony ever. I have never been formally charged with a felony ever. I've only ever been convicted of one crime, and that was a crime I didn't commit, which happened 5 years ago when I was walking with my son out here in the country, minding my own business, carrying a rifle, and the thug Temple Police Department officer, Steve Ermis, didn't like it, and because of small town politics here in Bell County, I eventually, after 2 trials and a corrupt judge, was convicted of a Class B misdemeanor. All right, that was 5 years ago. That's it. Those are my criminal convictions. It's kind of amazing that I've never committed a crime, and yet I've been arrested 3 times. But Steve Allison thinks that's okay. One of the problems that Steve Allison has, aside from the fact that he committed slander, okay, legally, he committed slander. When he told that audience that I was a convicted felon, Steve, and I know you and your people are watching, that's slander. Yes, you will hear from me. I demand a retraction, a public retraction, on your website, on your social media, and an apology, okay? Because what you just did is something that in a civil court, you know darn well as an attorney, first of all, you should have known better, but you know darn well what slander is. And so you will be seeing and hearing from me soon, but hopefully it's you calling me, because that's what needs to happen. We have a problem here. I've been attacked for several years by gun control advocates, okay, people that want to take away your right to keep and bear arms. I've been called all manner of things. I've got my fair share as a gun rights activist of my detractors. I realize that I'm a controversial figure. I realize that some people don't like or understand my tactics. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Everything that I do legally. And I am not going to apologize because you, Steve Allison, or anyone else out there doesn't like what I do or how I do it. The fact of the matter is that nobody can deny is that those tactics that you disagree with have been effective. We got open carry passed. We fought to help get campus carry passed. We got the license fee reduced from $140 to $40. We have had over 100 police departments and government officials or government entities take down no gun signs. Why? Because we took a stand, because I took a stand. Olmos Park, I went to Olmos Park because of the way that those people were being treated by that police department. I went there to see for myself. I spoke to the chief the day before, told him exactly what I was going to be doing, and he still, at that point, did what he did to me and to Jim Everard, where this is another man whose face was thrown into the pavement, and by the way, he had broken bones in his hand. So the fact that Steve Allison has no problems making stuff up and calling a completely law-abiding citizen a convicted felon, but he has no problem not attacking a police department whose egregious actions caused severe injuries to 2 different people. Speaks very, very highly of the kind of person that Steve Allison really is, which is that he's a corrupt politician who does not believe in liberty. The only other people that have attacked me the way that Steve Allison has attacked me and the things that he has said are gun control advocates. Let that sink in. A Republican candidate for House District 121, who, surprisingly enough, is endorsed by Joe Strauss. Nope, I'm sorry, that's not surprising at all, is it? Supported by Joe Strauss, is gun control advocate. So Steve Allison has a lot in common with gun control advocates. First of all, he thinks that if you're openly carrying a handgun in a holster, minding your own business, strolling with your kids down the road, taking them to a park, shopping, minding your own business at a bus stop, whatever, if you are legally carrying a holstered handgun, the police have a right to come up to you and demand to see your identification. This is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Steve Allison claims that he supports constitutional carry. He doesn't even know what constitutional carry is. He claims that he supports gun rights, but he believes that those gun rights are subservient to you giving up your Fourth Amendment rights. So in Steve Allison's mind, if you want to exercise your Second Amendment rights, you have to give up your Fourth Amendment rights. Why? Because police of power, in Steve Allison's mind, trumps individual liberty. Okay? I tried to go to Steve Allison's page, and I tried to directly confront him and message him about what happened last night and what he said at that debate, calling me a convicted felon. Okay, not I think he's a felon, or he's been charged with a felony, or this or that. No. He said I am a convicted felon. And he wanted to make that fact, okay, that's what he said, fact, known to the people there. So I went to his social media, and guess what? Steve Allison is not only a despicable candidate and a despicable conservative, he's also a coward. He blocked me and banned me and others. I live right next to an airport. So, I also live on a farm. So what does Steve do? He doesn't reach out, try to apologize. He bans me from his social media so that I can't comment, I can't send him a message. Go to his website, you can't find a phone number for him. There's no way to reach him except for you fill out a little form on his website. And I know what those forms do. It's going to put me on a mailing list. I ran for office. I ran for public office in Texas. I ran as a Republican, and I am a conservative. And I put my phone number on every piece of literature and on my website. So if somebody wanted to contact me as a candidate, they could call me personally. All right, so the fact that Steve Allison is hiding, I think speaks volumes about the kind of person he is, the kind of character that he has when you slander someone and then you hide from them. All right, Steve, my phone number is very easy to find. Find it. One of the other things that Steve Allison did last night, and obviously, as you know, I'm a Second Amendment activist, and I want to, besides the Fourth Amendment violations that Steve Allison seems to think it's okay to have, he said some things last night that should scare every gun owner. One of the missions of Open Carry Texas is that we, quote, this is I think our second mission statement point, is that we condition Texans to feel safe around guns. The problem that we have in this country is that the liberals have successfully shamed and stigmatized guns to the point where just seeing one is supposed to scare everybody. Okay? That's the liberal narrative. They don't like open carry. They don't like open carry because it, quote unquote, scares people. If it scares people, it's because they're not exposed to it. It's like a car crash. When someone gets in a really bad car crash, the last thing they want to do is get back into a car because it's scary for them. The last time they were in a car, they got into a very bad accident, ended up in the hospital, and probably still suffering some repercussions. But the only way that that person can get back into the car seat or back and confront that fear is to get in the car and drive. And it's the same with firearms. So when Open Carry Texas was started, one of the reasons that we push open carry is because we want to deprogram society into thinking that if you see a gun, you're going to die. Now, if society sees law-abiding citizens carrying firearms more and more and more and more, they get desensitized to that. That fear goes away. But what Steve Allison has been doing is Steve Allison has been harnessing that fear and that language of the liberal left. Steve Allison last night, and I'm going to be putting this stuff up here on this channel, and I think we're working on a video for Open Carry Texas about some of the statements that Steve Allison made last night about open carry, and using the language of the left and trying to subvert your right to keep and bear arms. Literally using the language of the left, talking about, this is what Steve Allison said last night. In effect, would you want people carrying firearms in your town? Well, of course the police have a right. This is Steve Allison talking. Of course the police have a right to go and check you out, because if you're walking through our community, Steve Allison doesn't realize we live in America. Steve Allison doesn't realize we live in the state of Texas. This is a free state. As a free man, as a free woman, we are, and those are the only two genders, by the way. As a free man or free woman, man, this wind is, let's see if I can turn this so that the wind doesn't blow my camera over. As a free man or free woman, you have a right to walk anywhere in public. It doesn't matter if that neighborhood is rich, poor, black, white, upscale, low scale, country, suburbs, downtown. It doesn't matter. We are free people. But Steve Allison thinks that if you want to walk through his neighborhood, where he probably lives in a gated community, then expect to be stopped by the cops because he sees you as less than desirable. This is a man who's on a high horse. I just saw a comment about Arizona, and I was stationed in Arizona for a little while. It boggles my mind that in Texas, everyone is so afraid of something that happens all around the country. I wonder if a lot of people out there realize that we are one of only 15 states that requires a license to carry a firearm in public. 35 states allow unlicensed open carry. 35 states. Of those 35, 15 allow you unlicensed concealed carry as well. Why is it that our Republican politicians and rhinos, and the ones that are trying to be Republican politicians like Steve Allison, are so afraid of an unlicensed populace? I went to Arizona, I see people open carrying all the time. I don't know what the fear is. I feel comfortable knowing that there's somebody near me that if something happens that I don't see, somebody's going to be able to take care of that. So, Steve Allison thinks it makes people uncomfortable when they see someone carrying a gun. Funny, that's exactly what Shannon Watts of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, Bloomberg's crowd, says about guns, that it makes people feel uncomfortable. You could juxtapose a Moms Demand Action interview and a Steve Allison debate, and you would have the exact same words coming out of both mouths. Is that who you want San Antonio to be in your state house? So I did want to address this idea and say categorically, Steve Allison said, as a matter of fact, and it's a matter of fact that is false, that I am a convicted felon. I am not, nor will I ever be, a convicted felon. I have not ever been charged with a felony. Why? Because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm an activist. And it's a shame that in the great state of Texas, when you dare to take a stand for something, when you dare to go where you know you're not wanted, Olmos Park, and exercise your rights, because you'll be damned as a patriot, as a Republican, as a conservative, that in your state there are law enforcement officers who take the law into their own hands, who make up the law, who violate willingly and violently your right to keep and bear arms. When a person goes and lawfully exercises those rights peacefully, not bothering anyone else. Ends up in jail, ends up with taser probes deeply embedded in his back, so deeply, by the way, that I had to have them surgically removed because the chief was so close when he tasered me. And then the chief has the audacity to lie on a report and say that I committed assault on a public servant to justify his unconstitutional and egregious actions that Steve Allison has refused to criticize. He refuses to criticize a law enforcement officer who uses excessive force, who violates the rights of the citizenry, but he has absolutely no problem going around calling a law-abiding citizen a convicted felon at a public debate in order to score political points in order to get elected. If you live in San Antonio, you have got to vote for Matt Beebe. Steve Allison is a train wreck. He is a danger to constitutional liberty. He's a danger to freedom. He's a danger to conservative values. He's a danger to our gun rights in Texas. He's a danger to honor. He's a danger to integrity. He is a danger as a candidate. And this guy's a lawyer, folks. He's a lawyer. So I hope you don't need legal action and this is your lawyer. So that's the point that I wanted to make here, is to call out Steve Allison. I do expect by Monday to have an apology, for have him to reach out to me. If Steve Allison does not reach out to me by Monday, my attorney will be reaching out to Steve. Take care. God bless you all, and stay safe out there. If you go to Olmos Park, take backup.